And while you're hanging out here breathing for a moment, I just want to talk a little bit about pain. Because we're gonna do some work with the ball today that can be helpful if you have persistent pain. And we often think if I have pain, let's say in my low back or in my shoulders or something, it's because of an injury. But if you've had pain for 10 years, it's recurring, sometimes it feels a little better and sometimes you don't feel it at all. And sometimes you have really bad days. That's not because of an injury. Like if it goes away, it's not because of your arthritis. And we all have arthritis. That's just like wrinkles on the inside. So part of what's happening if you have persistent pain is actually sometimes your body, that part of your body isn't moving well, or your brain doesn't have a really good understanding, a good feeling about what's going on in that part of your body. And so it creates a danger signal. And the danger signal ends up being pain. And so sometimes just giving that body part or your whole body in general a little bit of different information, a little bit of different unique movement can help resolve your pain. And so we're going to work with that a little bit today. So again, I want you just to notice how your shoulders are feeling, how your neck's feeling. And then you're going to invite a little movement. You're just going to roll your head from side to side. So if your head's on a block, you can leave it on a block. You might not need that block anymore. You could always take it out. You're just rolling your head from side to side, noticing how the neck is feeling, how your shoulders are feeling. And then come through center. And I don't want you to try very hard here. So you're not trying to find a stretch sensation or the biggest range of motion. I just want you to see how your shoulders and your back are feeling right now. So you're going to do a little snow angel. So your arms go kind of up on the floor as high as they can and then down. But again, like don't be thinking, it's 9 o'clock in the morning or whatever time it is where you are. You haven't done too much today. Don't feel like you have to find your full range of motion. So you're just up and down a little bit. And I would love it if your hands stayed on the floor the whole time. So like, even if that meant, I don't know if you can see me, but even if that meant that your range of motion was just this, because if you're going like this, that's not your arm on the floor. So keep your arm on the floor. Okay, now take a break. Back in your beginning position. Then I'm going to get you to take your ball and you're going to put it under the top of your left shoulder. The top of your, and Karen, I know you're doing this from a chair. If you can figure out how to get the ball between your shoulder and the back of your chair, you can do the same thing here. So first thing, all you're going to do is just put the ball there and relax into it. And depending on the kind of ball you have, it might be horrible. Like if you've got a lacrosse ball, that's pretty hard. You're just breathing here, feeling that little knot underneath your shoulder. And then I'm going to get you to bring your arm down by your side, and you're just going to bring the arm straight up and down like a rainbow in front of you. So you're drawing an arc in front of you. And notice how moving the arm presses into the ball in different ways. And again, the range of motion is only as big or as little as you can do pain-free. And then as you go forward and back, you're going to also go a little bit out. So eventually, as your arm goes out to the side, you might end up doing that snow angel again, but you might not. This range of motion might be a little smaller. Your arm may never get to the floor. It's just a little different. The other thing we're going to think about when it comes to pain, we have a tendency to want to avoid the range of motion. And sometimes that's good and sometimes that's not helpful. Okay, now bring your arm back down to your neutral sort of Shavasana position. And then take the ball out from underneath and pause. And we might notice that that side now feels lower. Then you're going to take your ball and you're just going to roll the front of your shoulder and into your chest. And I talk about this all the time. Anytime we're doing stuff for your shoulders, your upper back, and your chest, it's good to think about your lymph nodes, because we got a lot of lymph nodes in our chest and armpits and in our neck. So moving those areas is important. Okay, pause, let that go. And then just go back to your snow angel and notice if the snow angel on the left side feels different. And you might also notice that the snow angel on the right side caught up a bit too. Because you don't have to do things on both sides in order to create change in both sides, which is an interesting little fact about our nervous system. Okay, bring your arms down, grab your ball, put it under your right shoulder, and lean into it. And it would not be weird if one side was more sore than the other. So you're just leaning into it, you're breathing, relaxing your jaw. And then again, you're going to bring the right arm down by your side, and we start to draw that rainbow up and down. And as you go kind of forward and back or up and down, then you can also go a little wider. And eventually you're moving towards the snow angel, although with the ball underneath your back, you might not get your arm to the floor, and that's okay. And then again, you're going to take the ball out, relax for a moment, and just notice the upper back feels a little flatter, and then take the ball and just kind of roll the chest in the front of the shoulder. And we're like, it's not necessarily changing your muscles or anything. We're just changing awareness, changing our mind. Okay, set that ball aside. Go back just to turning your head from side to side. So rolling your head from side to side, and notice if the ball rolling and the movement of our arms changed how our neck moves. Again, it might not. And then again, your head's going to come through center, and we're going to snow angel. One's up and down. Up and down. Just notice if your range of motion got bigger. There's less tension or sensation around the shoulder. There might be, and there might not be. Arms are again going to come down kind of halfway between your hips and shoulders. You're going to pause here. Think about moving the base of the skull up the mat a little bit. Think about moving your rib cage up the mat a little bit. Make your back a little longer without necessarily making it flatter. And then maybe bring your arms in front of you. Stretch your hands out. Get the tips of your thumbs touching. So it's like you're building a little bridge in front of you with your fingers or your thumbs. And you are going to push your hands towards the ceiling. Shoulder blades go wide, and then set them down. You push them up and set them down. And just notice how this feels. How it feels in the chest and the shoulder and the back. Can you move your arms away from you and then bring them towards you? Couple more. Now, arms kind of come together. Put your elbows on the floor. And then you're going to go shoulder blades together, shoulder blades wide. Shoulder blades together, shoulder blades wide. And can you feel that? Can you feel your shoulder blades moving on the floor? And can you get your shoulder blades moving, maybe without your ribs popping up? Just keep doing that. And we tend to want to focus on the squeeze, like the work, but we also want to be really good at the relax. Like, you don't want your muscles to be tense all the time. We also want to teach them to relax. You don't want your muscles to be relaxed all the time. We got to teach them to work. We need a little bit of both. One more little squeeze and release. And then you're going to let your arms relax. Then I'm going to get you to take your legs up off your chair. And you are going to sort of immediately roll yourself up into tabletop. Again, if you're not comfortable on the floor, we could always do this with our hands on a table, legs straight. So just come in here, knees below hips, wrists below shoulders, elbows mostly straight. And we're going to start here with some cats and dogs. So you're going to go tailbone, low back, mid back, shoulders, head. And then again, tailbone, low back, mid back, shoulders, head. You breathe out, cat back. Breathe in, dog back. Notice, how's my pelvis moving today? Is it moving well forward and back relative to my thighs? And what's sensation like in the low back? Then you're going to come through what feels like neutral. So your front and your back are about the same length. And then I'm going to get you to put your elbows down directly below your shoulders. So, and this, when I get people to do this, what I see a lot of is this. So you can see how my like the space between my knees and my elbows is nowhere near enough to fit my whole spine. So you got to make sure the space between your knees and elbows is enough to fit your whole spine. And then I'm going to get you to turn your hands so your palms face up. I just want you to see, can you get your fingernails on the floor, including your thumbnails? Just pick up your head, have a look at that, see if it's something you can get happening. And then turn your palms to face down, and notice how it is probably easier to get a flat hand. And then we're going to do a couple cats and dogs here. So it's tailbone, low back, mid back, shoulders, head. Tailbone, low back, mid back, shoulders, head. And just in your own body, as you move through the cat and the dog, notice how lowering your torso, lowering your shoulders, changes how the cat and the dog feels. Is it easier, harder? No change. And then you're going to come through what feels like neutral again, and we're gonna come back up onto your hands for a second. So come back into tabletop. And then we're going to see if we can go shoulder blades together, shoulder blades wide, shoulder blades together, shoulder blades wide. And we want to really make sure we notice the difference that this is not a cat and a dog. So your rib cage, your sternum stays parallel as your arms push forward and pull back. Maybe we can feel our shoulder blades moving a little bit. And right now, you can do whatever you want to do with your head. You can pick it up or you can let it hang, kind of whatever feels better. Now go shoulder blades wide. Put your elbows back down. And then walk your elbows 1.5 inches forward or 2 inches forward and put your shoulders over your elbows. So we're coming into static extension. Turn the palms of your hands to face up. As best you can, get your thumbnails to move towards the floor. And then let your shoulder blades relax together. Let your pelvis dump forward. Let your ribs drop. Let a really, really deep arch show up in your back. And just let your head go. We're hanging out here for a minute. Now, there absolutely might be sensation in your low back here. There absolutely might be sensation in your hip. And your upper back and shoulders may absolutely resist this. And all of those sensations are okay. Just breathe. Like maybe you're like, no, they're not. This feels awful. It's okay. Just breathe. You got about 25 seconds left. Do relax your jaw if you can. Do soften your tongue. If it feels okay, really let go of your head. Take one more breath here. Push your elbows into the floor, shoulder blades go wide. Pick yourself up onto your hands. And then you're going to make your way back down onto your back. And again, this one, if you're not wanting to lay on the floor, we could always do this one kind of against a wall or against the back of the chair as well. So you got your ball, you're coming down into hook lying, knees bent, feet flat, arms a little bit away from the body, palms of the hands face up. Just relax here for a moment. Now we're going to do a little pelvic tilt. You're going to flatten your back and arch your back. Flatten your back and arch your back. Kind of notice how that range of motion feels. And then you're going to rock through what feels like neutral, and we're going to go feet together, knees wide. Coming into reclining bound angle and noticing how this feels. How's my ankles feeling today? How does this feel around my knees? How are my hips feeling? And you always want to remind yourself, it absolutely doesn't matter how flexible you are. That doesn't matter. What maybe matters is that your right and left side look and feel about the same. And you're in a place of ease. That's what we're looking for. Not a lot of tension. Now, pick your legs back up. Take your ball, and for a moment, picture your skeleton. So if you were just a skeleton, you'd have a rib cage, you'd have a spinal cord, and you'd have a pelvis. And there's a space between your ribs and your pelvis that is your waist. You're going to take your ball and put it under your left waist, like between the pelvis, spine, and rib cage. And again, depending on how big your ball is, how hard it is, this may or may not be delightful. And all I'm going to get you to do is wobble a little bit. So you kind of lean towards the ball and then lean away from the wall. And that could be just your legs, or you can actually turn your whole torso if that works. Little baby rolling. And then you come back to center, and without using your hands to start, bring your right knee into your chest. And it's your left knee, same knee as ball. I don't know why I got confused there. Whatever side the ball is under, you're bringing that knee in. And then you go out and in a little bit with that knee. And then you come back to center, hug that knee in. Relax your belly. And if all of this is going well and you're feeling moderately comfortable, we could straighten out the right leg. Place that right foot sole on the floor. Place your left foot sole on the floor. Take the ball out. Pause again and just kind of notice how the back feels, and then go back feet together, knees wide. And while we didn't do anything specific to this shape, you might notice that you feel more relaxed. You might feel like you feel a little more flexible. Now pick your legs up. Take the ball, put it under the other side, which I think is your right side. And again, you're just a little bit wobbling from side to side. And again, you can wobble kind of with your whole torso or just your legs. Just find whatever movement you can. And what we're doing here is bringing awareness. We're bringing proprioception to the muscles of the back. Very often we don't have a really good sense of them other than, oh, they're achy. Okay, come through center. Bring your right knee into your chest. Again, first you bring it in without your hands. And again, we do a little wobble, a little side to side. And then you come back through center. Hug onto that knee. Bring it a little closer to your chest. And then stretch your left leg out. course, you're noticing, is there a big difference in my right and left side, or is everything feeling pretty symmetrical today? Is today different than last week? Take one more breath here. Place that left foot sole back down on the floor. Place your right foot sole back down on the floor. Go back, feet together, knees wide. So just for a moment again, coming here into bound angle, arms a little bit away from the body, palms down, face up. And just notice how things have changed. And while you're here relaxing for this next half a minute, I want to talk about tension and tightness, because we always think tension is bad and tightness is bad. But generally speaking, unless something's gone haywire, unless you have some kind of condition, your nervous system creates tension for a reason. It'll tighten something up to make it feel safer and more stable. So sometimes letting go of that can be hard. All right, pick those legs up. Now you're going to need your blocks and your light hand weights. So we're going to come into hook lying. You're going to put your blocks between your knees. You're going to have one light hand weight on either side of you. Blocks between our knees, light hand weights beside us. Arms a little bit away from the body, palms down, space up to start. And then again, just start with a couple little pelvic tilts. So you get really used to finding a neutral that doesn't feel like it's creating a lot of effort. And then without using your bum, without using your belly or your pelvic floor, you're going to squeeze the blocks and relax. Squeeze the blocks, relax. And remember, the squeezing and relaxing doesn't move the pelvis. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now pick up, actually we'll do it first without weight. Bring your arms out to a T, little bit squeezing the blocks. You're going to inhale your arms up, all 10 fingers touch, and then exhale, thumb side of the hand comes over the head to the floor. You inhale your arms up, you exhale out into a T. Inhale up, exhale over, inhale up, exhale T. Keep going in that way. Watch. So we want the movement to be as effortless as possible. And you want to be able to move your arms without moving your rib cage as best you can. And of course, we're looking for pain-free range of motion. So as we keep going here in this body weight exercise, where you're just moving your own arms, notice how noisy your shoulders are. Notice where there's sensation or maybe there's none. Couple more. Do make sure you're breathing. Now, next time your arms come out to the T, just leave them there. And then go back to your knee pillow squeezes. You're going to squeeze, relax, squeeze, relax. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now find your light hand weights. Bring your arms out to the T. Again, manage your ribs. So your ribs, whatever position your ribs are in right now, we just want them to stay there. You're going to bring the arms up, weights touch so that your arms move together as they go overhead. Come up and then out to the T. And again, if you want to time the breath, it's inhale up, exhale over. Inhale up, exhale out. And try, and it's easier actually if the weights are a little bit heavier, to slow the movement down so that as you go through the lowering phase, you can feel the muscles around your shoulders engaging while stretching. So again, we often think about like the lifting is the important part, but actually the lowering, the eccentric contraction is really, really important to the health of our shoulders. The slowing down of the lowering is really important. Keep going. We could do like 10,000 of these. And again, notice if you can, like, hopefully the weight is heavy enough that you can feel your chest moving your arms. So you can feel the muscles of the chest moving your arms. And then again, you think about your lymph nodes in your chest and in your armpits and how this movement is giving your lymph nodes a little love and boosting the waste removal system of your body. One of the waste removal systems. Okay, arms come back to the T. Set those weights down. Go back to your kind of beginning position, pause, and notice the difference in circulation. It's like a different end result than a body weight exercise. Go back, last set of knee pillow squeezes. You're gonna squeeze, relax, squeeze, relax. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Last set of the arm movements. Again, pick up your heavy weight or your light weights. Keep your ribs where they are. Press up, lower over. Pull up, lower out. Focusing on how the resistance feels both ways. And also we can notice, especially if the weights are a little bit heavier, we can notice how your belly, your abdominal wall, your core reacts to weight in your arms and shoulders. So moving our arms and shoulders well is also going to improve our core strength. Couple more. One more up, one more over, one more up, one more out. Take your blocks out, set them aside, go feet together, knees wide. Arms a little bit away from the body, palms of the hands face up. Again, just observe and really sort of integrate the feeling of circulation in your hands, your forearms, your shoulders. All of your cells are just so happy to be up and moving. You're going to bring your legs together. You're going to roll yourself back up into tabletop. Wrists below shoulders, knees below hips. Elbows are mostly straight. And noticing if your hands feel differently about tabletop now after that little bit of work with the lightweight, they might not. And we're going to go through cats and dogs. Super gentle, tailbone, low back, mid back, shoulders, head. Tailbone, low back, mid back, shoulders, head. Notice if you're moving differently now, or if there were places that felt sticky or sore that feel less stuck and less sore than they did before. They might not.